One of the things that I find with people I work with, even those who are recently qualified in health and safety formally, is that they're scared witless of risk assessments. Very often these poor folks are doing something maybe completely unrelated, and then lo and behold their boss turns up one day and the next thing they know they're on a health and safety course, voluntarily of course.
He's in the jailhouse now.
I get it, we've all been there, and to be quite honest, there are still some risk assessments that I'd be doing still scare me just a little bit. If this sounds like you, then this video should hopefully help. I'm going to peel back the curtain on risk assessments a little for you, quickly dig through a few hazard examples from one of our own templates, uncover a few gems hopefully.
They're jewels, Betty. They're jewels.
And let you know the one thing that you must do to get it right first time, or at least get pretty close. Okay, we're going to answer 3 pressing questions that people have when it comes to risk assessment. And those questions are, number 1, where could I find the hazards? Number 2, how do I measure risk? And number 3, how can I identify suitable controls? Firstly, where can I find the key hazards? Okay, for this example, let's say we're looking at quite a broad topic and something that's really commonplace in health and safety. What do you think might cause a slip, trip or fall on a construction site? Can you think of any examples? This type of thing might be obvious to some, but if you do need a sanity check, then it's worthwhile going to a website such as the HSE's website, or of course our own website at safety.com, to give you a few additional ideas on areas that you need to think about. As you can see here, plenty of detail around aspects like uneven surfaces, obstacles, wet surfaces, and level changes. A quick tip to remember is when you're developing these hazards and control measures for the business you're working in, to develop a master copy where you're taking all of the examples, putting them together for future reference. And I don't think there's too many of us that want to be looking at a blank piece of paper every time we do a risk assessment and coming up with it from scratch. Do we? And there's likely going to be already relevant information that you can find on your site or within your organisation that's been done previously. And if you can, then okay, use it. If your answer to the first question was yes, I'm saying nothing.
You are a sad, strange little man.
The next question then is, how do I measure risk? Most of the time you don't need to really sweat this too much, as you're going to be using what's called a qualitative scoring system.
Oh no.
What does that mean? Well, in simple terms, it's a personal or subjective assessment. In other words, you're deciding on the probability that a risk will cause harm. Because you're bringing all the information together for the risk assessment, then naturally you're going to score and prioritise the risk according to what you see as most critical. It's okay, be confident, you've got this. Let's take manual handling for example. It's likely if you're doing a general risk assessment that you'll judge the risk of your operation at a high level and include some general risk controls, like our example here. But then equally you may also need to assess specific tasks in detail, and there's plenty of useful tools out there that you can choose from. For example, like the ones from the HSE that you see on screen here, they help you drill down into the real detail of a task or activity, whether that's for pushing and pulling, lifting and carrying, or for repetitive work. We've actually adapted some of this stuff for these and made some really useful templates that you can get over at safety.com, and don't worry, I'll leave some links below so you don't miss out on those. In using such tools, we can really get a good grasp on our risk hotspots. Do remember we have our completely free manual handling training available at safety.com, and of course I'll leave a link for you below so you don't end up like this guy. Okay, our last question is, how do I identify suitable controls? Let's just say we've found a specific risk that we don't really know a whole lot about, and we're not really happy with the information that we've been able to find. Where could we go to find some more information on suitable controls that we could use? Well, if it's a particular type of process or pieces of equipment that you're using that's commonly used within industry, then it could very well be some industry specific guidance out there that will really help you. Let's look at an example. If we take MUPS, or Mobile Elevated Working Platforms, as an example, we can quickly find out from a Google search that one of the organisations that's heavily aligned to the use of this type of equipment is IPAF. And if you go on their website, there's loads of good information, as you can see, on the safe use of MUPS. Don't lie, I know you're excited about looking through hundreds of pages on mute safety. What better way to spend a Sunday afternoon? Eh?
You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie.
If you take this information and then liaise with the operators in the area, you should land in a pretty good spot. Okay, I did say to you that I would tell you the one thing that you must do to be successful in this task, and that is to ask. I hear you saying that's pretty obvious, but I know there's a lot of you watching this video who are going to be asked to do a health and safety risk assessment, and as soon as you're asked, the first thing you'll do is you'll scurry off to a corner and try to create a complete health and safety masterpiece all by yourself.
Well, we'll see, won't we?
If you are doing that, it's usually a big mistake, and what you should be doing instead is lining up the key people that you need to speak to, and then figuring out as well if the process or activity is already happening, where and when it's happening, and when you can observe it. Look, I understand, I've been there, and many of us have been put in a position where we maybe feel a bit of imposter syndrome, feel out of our depth, or we're afraid of being judged or mocked even by others by asking a silly question or not knowing what someone's talking about. But listen, we have to throw that mindset in the bin. We can resolve most of these issues by leaning on those who understand the job better than us, and there's absolutely no shame in doing that. Asking the right questions to the right people will help you uncover the relevant information that you need to fill in the gaps. Besides, the process of engaging with your peers will help you to develop trust, build mutual respect, and of course grow your expertise as you absorb information from all of those involved. And eventually you'll become the expert. If you are still struggling with the concept of risk assessment, please don't forget to check out our free risk assessment training that's available at safety.com. Okay, that's it for this one. Hopefully we'll see you again on the channel, and remember to visit us over at safety.com. It's SAFETI.com. No idea why people keep spelling that wrong.